to introduce our panel here from right to left. We've got CAO Mark Johnson with us. We've got the Superintendent Luke Rasmussen. We've got Deputy Chief Shelby Willis. We also have Captain Tim Scott and Lieutenant Tyler Ziegler with Ogden Police Department. We'll be going through in a series of announcements, and we'll allow you questions at the end if you can please hold your questions to the end. We're here today to speak about an unsubstantiated threat at the Ogden City School, at Ogden High School. And we'll go ahead and go through kind of what occurred today. The first person that's going to speak is going to be Captain Tim Scott. We'll then move on to Deputy Chief Shelby Willis. After that, we'll hear from Superintendent Luke Rasmussen, and then we'll save the final spot for CAO Mark Johnson. So we'll go in that order. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Good afternoon. I'm Captain Tim Scott with the Ogden City Police Department. I want to give you a brief overview of law enforcement's response to this morning's incident. So this morning around 9:31, Weber Dispatch received a 911 call indicating there was an active shooter at Ogden High School on Harrison Boulevard in Ogden. That caller reported that there were shots fired and several students were down and injured by gunfire. We happened to have an officer in that school at the time. That officer was a trained SWAT officer and has been tactically trained on active shooter response in a school. That officer engaged what he believed was an active threat. The school went on lockdown immediately, and that officer systematically coordinated the response of fire and police units to that school. At some point during this clearing of the school, we learned that this was a hoax. But prior to learning that this was a hoax call, those SWAT officers and officers that were engaged in that school were actively hunting what they believed was an active target. They were systematically clearing each room with a long gun. Students were on lockdown, and they were systematically clearing each corner of that school looking for an active gunman to engage that threat. That threat never realized, it never manifested. Information started coming in that it may be a false alarm or a hoax type of call, but we still maintained composure, law enforcement, fire response at that school. Lockdown remained, and we still systematically cleared every inch of that school to make sure there wasn't a threat. You know, at the end of the day, there was a full countywide response to the school. I was on scene. Most of our command staff was on scene at the time. We had almost every agency accounted for at Ogden High in response to this. So this was something that was taken seriously up front and immediately. And when I want to say immediate response, not only did we have a SWAT officer on scene performing a tactical operation of what he's been trained to do, we also had our Area Tactical Analysis Center, what we refer to as the ATAC, had eyes inside the school on multiple camera feeds. So we had analysts that were in our center supplying real-time information, describing over the radio what they saw. Also, again, reporting not seeing an active threat. So we systematically cleared that school. At one point, cleared it as a safe zone and then turned it back over to the school. And so that's the information we have at hand, and we will, Lieutenant Farr and I will take law enforcement related questions towards the end of the conference. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Scott. I'm Shelby Willis, Deputy Fire Chief with Ogden Fire Department. Fire Department's role is to assist PD if we have injured people, if we have injured officers. So I'm so grateful and happy to report that we didn't have any injured students, teachers, police, or first responders. We had an outstanding coordinated response between police and fire, Ogden High School, Ogden School District, and we called in MCOT, the Mobile Crisis Outreach Team. And all of these people worked together to ensure this incident ran smoothly. What I'd like to say is that while I'm so grateful that there were no injuries and we're able to talk about this in a different light, we have students, teachers, parents, family members that are now traumatized as a result of this incident. And that is not okay. We have to do better than this as human beings. I would like to say thank you to all the citizens, the community that has reached out to us, police, to fire, to ask us, are we okay? We are, and we're grateful for all your support. Thank you.
Hello, Luke Rasmussen, Superintendent, Ogden City School District. First, I just want to thank the police department and the fire department for their quick response. It was really unbelievable to watch how not only how fast they responded and how swiftly they responded, but how calm and cool and collected they were in enacting their processes and ensuring that our school is safe. So I just want to thank them for their partnership. We work hand in hand with them to constantly ensure that our students are safe. And we have processes and protocols in place that we enact as well. Our school quickly went into a lockdown. All of our staff followed our procedure to ensure that students were safe and cooperated directly with the police department and looked to their guidance, which was tremendous in this incident. So these things are unfortunate. I'm very grateful that no students, no staff, that nobody was injured in what could have been a horrific accident or a horrific event. But this is a great opportunity for us to learn as well, and we're going to do a review of this and make sure that we are always continuing to get better. But I was really proud of our staff. I was proud of our students. Their students were great. I want to thank the fire department. They quickly got a county trauma team there along with our trauma team to be able to help anybody that needed support or help. And I just want to tell the community that how much we appreciate that. Our community was great. Our parents that reached out were great. And it's so important for them to follow us on social media, to follow us on our apps, to use the Safe UT app, to be able to continue so that we can communicate with them. These situations are hard, and we want to get information out as soon as we can to people to let them know what's going on, and to let them know that their students are safe or when to pick their student up, and to enact those processes. But we can only give that information out as the time comes appropriate to do that. So just appreciate the trust that we have in our community, to trust us with your students and their safety. And we're just so thankful that this turned out the way it did, and appreciate everybody. Thanks.
Mark Johnson, I'm the Chief Administrative Officer of Ogden City. First of all, I want to say how sad I am that there's individuals in this world that would purport a hoax like this on our high school students, the staff, our police officers, our fire officers. How sad I am that our country's got to this point where we think this kind of thing is okay. It's not. I'm impressed with how the students have handled it. I'm impressed how the teachers, but I think that they're traumatized. And my hope is that the good citizens of our community will have a prayer in their heart for them to be able to recover from this kind of trauma that they've been through. I am grateful for our police officers who, no hesitation, were in that school and searching and clearing that school at their own risk, not knowing that it was a hoax. I'm impressed with that kind of bravery amongst our police officers. I respect that a great deal, and I thank them. I also thank our fire. I got a call from Chief Willis as she was heading up there, and I appreciated their willingness to go and do what they need to do in order to make this happen. Most of all, I want you to know that we have received, the mayor and I and others have received calls from tearful parents who are having a lot of trauma today because of the fears that they've been through as a result of this incident. We know other high schools in the state have experienced the very same thing. One high school I know in Salt Lake is on spring break, so it might be that the hoax came from outside Utah, not knowing that that high school was on spring break. Again, I thank those involved. We will learn from this experience, both the school side, as the superintendent said, and the city side. And I want you to know that if there was a hoax tomorrow, we would respond the exact same way we responded today. We want parents and students to know this is our top priority, and we'll respond every time and make sure that everyone is safe, and we do all we can to keep them safe. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions that you have for any of the panel members.
How many officers ended up responding to this one incident?
You know, we don't have an exact number, but we did have officers throughout the county. As we looked back and we looked at which departments really, it would be impossible to single out departments because it was really a response that was a whole response from the entire county.
And was that due to the safety of, everyday people for this one hoax?
Sure. You know, that's the unfortunate thing is a lot of times what people don't realize is the amount of manpower, the amount of energy that goes into these type of situations, because we take every single incident like this seriously. We will always take it seriously. We will always send our officers, and everyone from around will always respond the same way that we did now. And so it's unfortunate that that's not realized at all.
Do you have any idea where the call came from, who it is? Are you investigating it?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Will. Quickly, I'd like to speak to that. Our investigations bureau was on scene, and they are working with their federal partners right now based on the scale that it's national from my understanding. They're working with our local federal partners and as a federal investigation.
If it is someone local, what kind of repercussions could they face?
Well, there are local laws associated with this and federal laws associated with this, but I can't speculate at the onset of the investigation whether we have a local situation or we have something national.
Are there calls? Is this happening across Utah and beyond?
If you have more information on that.
So our understanding is that it has happened at multiple schools throughout Utah. I don't know exactly which schools, but as reports came in and as this was ongoing, there were reports that this was happening at other schools as well.
Hoaxes?
Hoaxes as well, correct.
You guys talked to any other departments about other hoaxes, or just?
That'll be part of the investigation.
So is it, the school was locked down, were the students, I don't know what you could say, did the students, were they moved to the basement, did they stay in the classroom, is that some?
So when we go into a lockdown protocol, our students are locked down where they're at. If they're in the counseling office, they're locked down there. If they're in a classroom, they're locked down there. So students are immediately locked down in the vicinity wherever they're located, and they stay there until we are cleared by law enforcement in this situation. So we treated this not like a drill. We treated this like a real situation as a school as well, and quickly locked down the entire building.
You looked at other schools as well?
We did not lock down other schools. By the time we had would have considered that threat inside of Ogden High, we realized it was a hoax and there wasn't a need to lock down other schools. But it's something that we will review.
I know this has been really traumatic for students and their parents. Are there any resources that the school's going to be offering?
Yeah, so we have, along with the county, who I really appreciated, contacted me right when this incident was when we were getting ready to release students. They actually had their trauma team come in and meet with students that didn't have a ride home or weren't able to just leave when we released students. We did call an early out day due to the situation. We didn't want students to have to stay in school today, so we let them go. But we had a trauma team on site today, both from the county and from our school. Our school has a trauma team that's trained, and they mobilized as well, and we're at the school. We will also have them available tomorrow, both for staff and for students, that may be struggling. So, thank you.
At Ogden High, how many students were affected?
So we have approximately 1,150 students that attend the school. Hopefully, most of them were there. So somewhere in that
So over
vicinity.
1,000 were there.
Yeah, for sure. Over 1,000 for sure. Yeah.
Does this make you, maybe you'll take a look at security at the high school, or?
So we've been really working hard on security. All of our elementaries have a lock-in, a buzz-in, buzz-out system. Our junior highs now have that as well. High schools are a little bit more difficult in that regard, but we're really working on doing a lot of stuff at our high schools as well. So yes, for sure, safety is at the top of mind. We have great systems in place there, including security systems. But it's always something that we will evaluate, and we'll take this opportunity as an opportunity to learn and be better going forward, for sure.
Can I speak to that too?
Yep.
real quickly? On that as well, we do have school resource officers at the junior highs and the high schools, and we partner very closely with school administrations and also with the school district to be able to work on any security concerns. There are consistently regular drills that happen at every single school, including elementary, middle school, junior high schools, and high schools. There are drills that happen regularly so that everyone knows exactly what to do, and then on top of that, those are always evaluated to try to get better.
And I'd just add, Ogden City has been just an unbelievable partner. We've increased with them through our partnership the number of school resource officers that we have, and we now have a solely dedicated person with Ogden City Police who is over all of our resource officers, who does security reviews and checks and gives guidance and support to our schools. So again, I just want to thank them for their partnership. This has been something that we've just increased recently, and it's been great, and it pays dividends. We have systems and we follow them and we work well together, and it's very comforting to me to know that we have such a great partnership with our police department.
Are calls like this becoming more common in your schools?
No, not like this. No, this was, I mean, I've been a high school principal for almost a decade. I've been, overall the secondary schools. This is my second year as a superintendent, and this does not happen often.
What
No.
about with the city? Is this an increase in, are we seeing an increase in any of this?
No, like what Luke said, this is not something that has become more and more prevalent. These things don't happen often. But we're always ready as far as our training. We always take every single incident seriously. We always have the same type of response, and we always evaluate those responses to make sure that there's things that we could improve on and do better. We'll do those things.
Was it a school resource officer who was at Ogden High?
Yes. If there's no other questions, then I think that we'll wrap it up. We appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the questions.